Okay, so the ninth law, the law of relativity. Each person will receive a series of problems, tests in life, for the purpose of strengthening the light within them. So a challenge is always going to come, a challenge will always be there, yes.
Can you sum that up?
Sum it up, I will. So, the law of relativity is basically based upon your own experiences. For instance, weather is a matter of relativity. Somebody in here might say, ooh, it's cold. Another person might say, no. So it's relative to what you feel is cold and what the other person feels is warm. Everything is relative. Most people will not agree on things. Light is a matter of relativity. Some people might think it's dim in here. Some people might think it's light. Some people might think, oh, you know, yeah, we don't even need any light at all. Love is relative. Some guy might go on Facebook and say something to his girlfriend and say, oh, sweetheart, I miss you today, I love you. One person might say, oh, he's up to something, he's just a cheater and he feels guilty. And another person might say, oh, that's so sweet, I really want my man to do that too. So it really depends on how we look at things. What we compare things to is what becomes relative. Here's an example. Beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder. That's what's relative. I have a friend from way back in the day, and she said that her coworker was giving her issues. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm trying to talk to her about it and everything. And she said, I know why my coworker is giving me issues. And I said, why? She said, because I just look better than her. And I was like, oh, right? And I was like, well, how do you know that? Like, she was like, no, trust me, I do. I know I look better than her. And I was like, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't say that. She was, no, I'm just telling it how it is. And I was like, all right, and that was it. A few weeks went on, they got into an argument at work. That's how much the energy started to rise. And that girl said to her, you think you always look so good, you don't look good. I don't think you look good at all. Your hair always needs this and your clothes always need, and she went on and named a whole list of negative things that were true. And she wasn't just saying, oh, you know what, you need to lose 10 pounds when the girl only needs to lose 5. She was really calling it. And so the girl my friend called me and she's like, do you think I need to do this or I need to do that? And I was like, well, maybe, yeah. And she's, do you think I'm rude? Do you think people find me hard to approach? And I said, yeah, sometimes. She's like, and she's like, do you find that maybe turns people off? I said, yeah. And so she was asking all these questions about what the other girl had said. And she's like, you know what, she really just doesn't like me. It's not that she's jealous, she just really doesn't like me. And I'm like, oh yeah. See, so it's relative. That girl really thought that her coworker was just jealous. Yeah, and she really wasn't. And then when I saw the coworker, a few months later, I thought the coworker was smashing. I was like, wow, she's really pretty. Like, you know, yeah. She really was pretty. I'm not saying she's pretty. I said it to my friend. I did say it to my friend, but I didn't say she was prettier. They had two totally different looks. Right. It's like apples and oranges, which brings me to my next point. After I had my son Tyree, I was 80 pounds overweight. And I was just, oh my gosh, beside myself. Okay? So my daughter was 6 years old. Autumn and my sister and my other sister Darla and stuff, I'd be walking down the street with them and I would look at another woman that was large and I would say, do I look as big as her? Do I? Your mom does that? She does it from me. Got it from her. And I got it from mommy probably, which mommy's always dieting.
No, but it's not, I don't compare myself in a way of, do I look like her or anything? I need to know, I would like to know what other people see, so I know what I need to work on.
Yeah.
And who else does that?
I do that.
You do that too? You do that as well?
No, I think that's what other people say.
No, I don't.
But like terrible.
You know what I do? I look at myself like, am I getting fatter? Like I look at that person, I'm like, am I getting that? Am I that big?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
It's insecure. But I'm not trying to put the person down.
No, you're not going to put yourself in a category.
Right. Yes. That's what I'm trying to
yes.
Look at the world, right?
Yes.
So,
That's right.
When you look on here, you could be thin as just like people who have like a bulimia or
Oh, I know.
they see that they're overweight, but when we look at them, we see that they're really, really underweight or whatever.
Right.
So it's just, it could be like a subjective thing.
Yes.
I've seen this study where a sketch artist would, he would put the person, there was two people, and he would put the person, he doesn't get to see them. And he says to the person, okay, describe yourself to me. And they would describe themselves. And then he's like, okay, you can win. The next person will come in and say, please describe the person. Like he would draw it, and he's like, please describe the person who just left. Because they would get to know each other and stuff. And they would describe the person that they seen, right? And then the person would come back and come in and see their outlook of themselves. And then they'd see the outlook of what somebody described them, and they always look way prettier, like way radiant everything with the other person's description. The person who, when they describe themselves, they look old and drawn out and worn, and they looked horrible.
Hard on themselves.
Yeah, they're very hard on themselves, and they didn't look like that at all. So it's like you wanna know that. You look in the mirror, that's what you see, right? And it's not mainly it's an insecurity thing.
It's an insecurity. It definitely is.
That's so.
When I was, that's a very good point as well, because and when I was 80 pounds overweight, 80 pounds. I mean, most people are not 80 pounds overweight after they have children, and I was like asking my daughter and my sisters and everything everywhere I went. Am I as big as her? Do I look as big as her? And then finally...
Well, you didn't say big. She's like, am I her size?
Am I her size?
Right. Well, how much more do I need to lose to be her size?
Right. And so my daughter had it down pat.
Yeah.
And you guys, everyone was good. Everyone was always like, oh yeah, no, you're not her size. You're probably like about her size, but you're a little bit thinner here, and she's probably a little bit thinner on her arms. And
I did.
So what happened is, that's what would happen, and so I loved it. So finally I lost 20 pounds, and I was feeling good about myself. And I was like, yeah, 20 pounds is a lot of weight to lose. And when you're, 80 pounds overweight, and you have 60 more to go, you're, 2/3 of the way. So I started to compare myself to slimmer people. And I started to say, how much more weight do I have to lose, do you think, to get to her size? Do I look a lot bigger than her? Or so then one day my daughter and I were walking down the street. And of course, losing weight, you feel good about yourself. And so I'm like, am I a lot bigger than her? Am I a lot? And finally, my daughter had enough. And she said to me, Mom, this is your cousin. She said to me, Mom, listen, I know you lost weight. And she was like 6 years old. Mom, I know you lost weight and you're feeling good. But you're a lot bigger than that, girl. You shouldn't compare yourself to somebody who's so small, because if you compare yourself to somebody your size, then I can say, maybe you have 5-10 pounds to lose. She said, but if you compare yourself to somebody so small, I'm going to have to say you got 50 pounds to lose. Oh my God, and your self-esteem was and I was like, oh, right, okay, well, she's 100% right. There was no relativity there. It was not relative, yes.
But sometimes people say it to where you can hear them. Like one time I was walking with somebody, and then she said, we're walking on the beach.
That wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
I know.
She was walking on the beach, and there was a girl wearing a bikini, and she wasn't skinny, but she wasn't big. And then the girl's like, ew, do I look like her? And she's like, does my stomach look like her butt? And to the point where the girl can hear it, and the girl started like crying.
Oh yeah. See, now that is
that was a cruel thing.
Yes, that is just.
She's like, I hope it doesn't. And then I was like, that was me.
The girl wasn't that bad looking. I was behind, and
oh, you heard it too, Autumn?
oh yeah.
No, you were there.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, you were?
But you guys were up ahead. I had scout, and
Wow.
and I was
So
like, oh my gosh! And the girl, she thought she was her boyfriend.
And
Right,
the guy
And
we
she
were
stopped
walking
and she's
with,
like I can't believe that, because she had weight,
but the guy
but
we
she
were
looked good. You could tell she was secure in herself, and I think that the girl who said that just totally destroyed her security
Oh.
and
yeah.
everything. 'Cause she had a bikini on. I thought she looked good,
Right.
and I admired her
Yes.
security. I was just like, okay.
It's funny you would say she destroyed her security, because we're going to be doing 10 commandments, going into each detail of each 10 commandments in another few classes. And thou shalt not kill is that commandment. We think it's thou shalt not kill, but really she killed your spirit. She killed her security, and that's one of the commandments.
And the guy we were walking with,
with,
the guy we were walking with, he had to tell her that she looked fine.
that she looked at Potter.
Yeah, she told him that she looked. He told her that she looked fine.
You look good. You look
But
fine.
it's not gonna help.
No, it's wouldn't
Right.
help.
Right. See, that's not good. And I know that that's something I wouldn't do. And when I would walk in, I'd be like, oh my gosh, and it would always be someone across the street.
Or on TV.
Or, yeah, or on TV. On TV. That's right. And check this out. Back then, it was so we're going back 18 years ago. Because Cerise going to be 18 May 8th, and it was the Warrior Princess. Xena, the Warrior Princess. And she was thick, right? She was thick, and so I felt safe too to be able to compare myself to her. And Alicia was like, no, Mom, no.
Because she was solid.
She was solid, but she had nice, like no belly and everything like that, and she was just solid. But she was still thick, you know what I mean? And so I thought I could compare myself to her, and Alicia was like, no, for that one too. But that's the one day she really broke down and she had enough, and she was like, Mom, pick someone that is in your size, so pick someone that's relative. So it's important when we are in the law of relativity, and we are trying to get forward in life, and we look at somebody else who's making a lot of money, and we want to make more money, you don't compare yourself to the person that's making millions. You compare yourself to the person that is relatively same age as you, maybe, not even same age, because some people at the same age could be making way more. But it's the same job as you're doing, the same hours, the same category, exactly. The category word again. In the same category you're in, and you compare yourself to like people. You don't compare apples and oranges. Okay? So that is the law of relativity.